Thank you for holding us down and always tuning in for the show. Last week, we made a promise that we'll be back with a pay computation, but that did not happen. And we have another amazing set of panelists, and we're going to be talking about the MDA compliance by MDAs, government institutions. Some of you sit there and you're like, does government really pay tax? Do they really pay tax if they're asking us to pay taxes? Well, that is getting answered in today's episode. So I have an amazing set of experts all the way from the PSO office. They're going to break down what PSO means. I know URA has a bunch of acronyms and stuff like that, but you're going to learn and you're going to discover what all of that means. But in the meantime, I'll have them introduce themselves. Claire and Marion, welcome to the show. I know it's your first time. We enjoy first timers here. Yeah. Not to bully them, but we enjoy them because you come with new knowledge and it's exciting. So please introduce yourself. I know I've hinted on your first name, but just tell us your name, what you do at URA, and yeah.
Okay.
Claire?
Good morning, team. It's a privilege to be here with you. My name is Claire Tumasime. I'm a domestic tax officer under the Public Sector Office in Uganda Revenue Authority. And under that office, I'm a client relationship manager and happy to serve.
Happy to have you.
Okay, my name is Marion Luboa. I am the team lead for the team that reconciles the government revenues and reports on them. Welcome our colleagues and clients.
We're very happy to have you guys here. Thank you, Marion, and thank you, Claire, for making the trip here. So we've thrown around, in this brief introduction, we've thrown around the word PSO. So if you could please, Marion, share with us in depth, what is PSO in full? What do you guys do? What's a typical day like?
PSO was set up in September 2014, and there was an outcry for non-compliance. So for compliance, because people were not complying, the government entities. The filing ratios were 35, and payments would come in as and when they want, they wish. So, but people also had their own unique challenges. You find that whereas we had moved on in the electronic mode, some of them were still trailing, holding a mouse and what. So PSO was created for that, to offer timely service to the government entities and then help them comply, which we are doing.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, and the filing ratios have more doubled. We are above 70. I think we are heading to 80, 90s.
80, 100.
Yeah, we are moving on very well. Even the payments, they are more timely, of course, depending on what is available to spend from the consolidated fund. But we are better than where we were as government entities in 2014. And we are the sky is the limit. Yeah, my clients can attest to that.
10 years of PSO.
Yes.
And
it will be on the 14th or on the 8th of September. It will be 10 years.
Okay. Great job. I mean, I think even the statistics numbers don't lie. And over the years, we've seen the revenues that's coming in through PSO growing. And
yeah, maybe I should also add, and we also offer like an advisory to our stakeholders and even to management.
Okay.
As we engage and as we find what is on ground, then we can advise for better services and all that.
Nice.
Thank you.
We hope you guys will become regulars in the show because you do quite a bit. And you say, Marion, that you support government entities. If you could break down these government entities, for someone watching, like who exactly?
Under Public Sector Office, we help different government entities comply, and that's where the big question is of does government actually pay tax? And I want to assure all Ugandans that yes, government is liable to pay tax, and the entities we are looking at are ministries, departments, agencies, and local government.
Okay.
Yes.
And what taxes do they pay? Because you're telling me, let's say like Ministry of Finance, or let's say NITAU is paying the taxes. But what exactly do they pay? What if you could break down to someone watching so that they have a bigger appreciation of this, Yeah.
So for these government entities, the taxes that they are liable to pay, for starters, which is the biggest, is pay as you earn, which is levied on staff enrollments for both permanent and casual staff. We have withholding tax, which is levied on supplies amounting to 1 million Ugandan shillings. We also have value added tax, which we'll break down later on, but value added tax is really, really wide. And we have value added tax withholding, we have value added tax on imported services, we have excise duty for NITAU, to mention but a few.
So basically, all the taxes that someone in the private sector will pay, chances are high that also the public sector will
Yes, yes.
Okay. So we are in this thing together.
Yes, we are.
The journey to develop Uganda is from both ends, public sector, private sector.
Yes.
Okay. Marion, if you could expound, she shared with us the tax heads, but if you could expound on the actual obligations, let's say registration, what are the tax registration requirements for these entities?
Okay. Usually, most of these are set up by maybe acts of parliament. So they come with their act of parliament, their formalization, which we use because, of course, we must show some legality in how they came into place, into being. And sometimes it can be cabinet minutes in case something is not so easily established, like that act of parliament, and yet they must be in existence, so we can use. But then there are also some that come into existence by PS instructions, say like projects, and we need taxes. We need to tax those projects or units. A PS may write as the accounting officer of an MDA or the cow of the local government.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So on top of that, I know our viewers will be wondering what obligations. Okay, I know you're paying these taxes, but let's say like I'm going to give an example. As you are aiming to have a team, as you are aiming to, so, like what happens if your aid does not, let's say, file on time, which is impossible. But yeah, just give us walk us through that journey in detail.
Registration.
Of registration.
Yeah, just like any taxpayer, an MDA. And when we say MDA, of course, for them they know, but any other person who may, it is a ministry, department, or agency. Okay. Then LG, you may find we shall keep referring to just because of time. LG is local government. So we have the central government and we have the local government. So they are obliged to have or to get a team. And like we said, they come with their document, and then we register them. And we use that document to support the reason they should be registered. Yeah, so we register them any other way. You go to the portal, download that form and fill it in. Probably the authorized contact people and all that, where it is based, and any other information. And it should be complete, because sometimes complete and correct. Well, yeah, it must be, because sometimes one time I found my name being as as one of the entities contact people. I think as I was demonstrating, they decided to pick my team. Yeah, but it should be correct information, because that information is then that guides us as we help them to comply. Yeah.
Hope to our viewers that you're following the conversation and you're learning a thing or two. And if you have any questions, do feel free to send a comment on X, on LinkedIn, on wherever you watch, you access your social media from. We are live, and send your questions in because we want to engage the experts. And Claire, I'll get back to you, or Marion, you guys, you can split this one. What compliance issues are related to filing? Now that she shared with us, it's a registration. Let's get into the filing bit.
Registration, there's still some more compliance issues, because I just took you through how they can get to be registered. But the compliance issues on registration usually, and more right now in this time, you find that most of them are transferred. I think beginning a certain year, usually 2 to 3 years, they transfer the accounting officers. And then you find they don't communicate to the commissioner. The law says communicate to the commissioner as and when changes happen. Now, in the handing over, I think this is not done well. So you find, actually, let me face them. You find this is not done well. And then the law says you should inform the commissioner when you're due for registration, when you need to cancel a registration, and when any changes occur, maybe by change of venue or what. But we find this does not happen, and this inhibits us from helping them comply. You find you call an entity and the person either resigned or was transferred 3 years ago, and then definitely you won't be helped to file or to pay on time or correctly. Yeah. So for registration, those may be. So always inform us on when the contact people change, on when the cow changes, or when a PS, which is very rare, but at least for the lower local governments, this is very common. So we need your compliance for registration as much as possible for us to be able to help you. Okay. Yeah.
Anything else on registration?
Maybe one more thing. The taxes that are registered under the different entities. Often at times you find entities leaving out some taxes. They're registered for pay, not withholding. They're registered for pay and withholding, not VAT, yet they're actually liable to those taxes. So we would love to encourage all our entities, all our viewers who are working for the government to understand their business and know which taxes they are liable for.
And sometimes maybe someone will be there and they have some challenges. How do they contact the team, for example?
Yeah.
Do they come to URA Tower, or they can call a number, like, if they need support? Because I could, have, I've probably registered for payee and I've left out some taxes, and I'm watching this and I'm thinking, I need to clean that up. Who can I talk to?
Being a client relationship manager, I'd like to answer that one. Under public sector office, we have a number of entities. This list of entities is split between different client relationship managers. So their role is basically to handhold every client and ensure that they comply. Now, usually you will have a client relationship manager call you, introduce themselves, tell you that they're in charge of your entity. However, sometimes the people on the receiving end may not understand or may not be interested in listening to the client relationship manager, yet that's your first contact person. Yes. So I encourage every entity to please save those numbers, such that they keep contacting those different individuals that have been assigned to them. Secondly, they can write to us directly, write a letter to URA, deliver it to the public sector office, address it to the public sector office. Thirdly, we have a general line that we can also share before we close the show, and they can call directly.
We could even share it now. They write it 0323 44 3255. Now there is an admin on that line, but there are also others which we shall give later on. Yeah, that is the admin's, the public sector office's admin line, and it is always free for you to contact us. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. Okay, sorry for derailing you a little bit. But back to our topic and just what are some of those compliance issues that are related to filing that you can walk us through?
Okay.
Either one of you can take.
There are many, but I'll handle some and she will also handle some. There are non-declaration of tax withheld by government. And the suppliers always suffer. Sometimes you even end up, an entity may end up being investigated just because they didn't file certain returns. Because if a supplier is pushed to the wall in another station because they are not paying tax, and yet they have a tax credit they should have utilized from a return of a government entity, then it becomes dirty. Yeah? Your IGG comes, requests for the compliance of an MDA. They actually paid the tax, but they didn't file a return. And so the other supplier may seek for help from another MDA, which is the IGG. So ensure you always put all the transactions in the returns. For withholding tax, especially for MDAs, we have transactions which usually come through BOU directly. They come from what we call letters of credit and guarantees. Usually those are missed out of the returns, and yet those kind of transactions are very huge. And so the other side, on the supplier side, the ledger will be dented with huge interest on credits that should have drawn away the principal liabilities. So we encourage them to file and include all the transactions. Then also sometimes they decide to file as and when they want. The due dates are 15th. You know, we know our clients. Sometimes they think because they are government, it shouldn't be. I should do it when I want. No, the due date, my dears, is 15th of every month. Because for them, they don't have income tax. It is those tax types which are required by 15th of every month. So we encourage for correctness and completeness. And that completeness, if you don't do it completely, you're liable to a penalty, like any other taxpayer would be liable to a penalty. You are liable to a penalty because that return is a statement to the commissioner, and if it is incorrect, it tantamounts to misleading information. Okay, so if you don't do it correctly, or you populate wrong things, because there are even instances of populating wrong things. You populate a wrong team, and usually this comes from the PPDA. If they don't do their work properly, you can even get things like, I don't know whether you heard of what we call the Katosi saga, where different people at every stage were handled. You find a different person was procured to do the work, a different person was supervised, a different person actually did the work, and then at the end a different person was paid. So if procurement does the right work all through, then compliance will be assured. For time, she can handle another one.
If you'll allow me, just to throw more light on that very point, we have very many instances where the government entities choose not to file returns, however make payment. Now that leaves us with still incomplete information. They have credits on their ledgers, which are actually not credits. It's because there is no return that was filed, however there was a payment that was made. Still takes us back to the supplier suffering at the end. Okay, secondly, another point on compliance issues when it comes to filing, non-declaration of projects, none or under. We have entities, for example, ministries, departments that have projects that are run under them. The first role of the accounting officer is to declare those projects to Uganda Revenue Authority, which in some cases are not done. Or in some cases, they choose which projects to declare and which ones not to, which leaves inconsistencies still. And at the end of the day, taxes leak. So it's either they declare some, declare the taxes on those projects, or declare them and don't declare taxes because they think we cannot enforce on them, or alternatively, they do not inform us at all and no tax is paid.
Yeah, that was majorly for withholding tax, but we also have for pay as you earn. Gone are the days when you would file a return without TINs. Each return must have correct TINs for either the suppliers or the employees. Now, we have instances where some staff can intimidate the finance officer who is supposed to file a return. And they say, me, I won't give you the TIN. Now, there are also benefits of you being filed in a return. If you don't get a TIN and you're not filed in a return, usually this happens with maybe political or politicians or local councillors, those kind of people. You need to be filed in a pay return. Why? Because also the wage bill should be accounted for in the pay return. If the return is incomplete, not everybody is populated there, then you find we begin thinking we should audit you, and yet ideally you may have paid pay as you earn on that on the employees, but because they were never declared there. For example, URA, we account for every staff of ours, I think, I'm sure, even casuals or what. But in some instances, you find some MDAs do not comply. They think it is not worth it, but they should comply. In the process of doing that, they will have accounted for their wage bill correctly and avoid many questions that would have come maybe during an audit or an investigation and all that.
So this is even for like this MDA's benefit.
Yes.
You're ruling out audits and all these things. And,
But even them, they are also benefiting. Oftentimes you find maybe an employer has got a scholarship for their child, and sometimes they need what they call a tax statement, and it is self-service. Most of our services now self-service. So if they're not populated in a return, it will be hard for him to get that tax statement of what they paid and be able to apply for the child's scholarship, or even you may need credits elsewhere, you as an employee. Previously, we used to require those credits for rental, although it changed, but you may need that tax statement, and you need to be populated in a return. You do not know when you will need it. Yeah, you need it. Yeah, so we encourage them. We encourage you, our clients, please comply, fill in the returns correctly, ensure the things are correct, the amounts are correct, and every taxable benefit is taxed, so that we don't audit you and you get interest and then we start coming. Yeah, I'm an enforcement officer. Yeah. So one of my roles is to enforce compliance, as she relates with them, babysits them, because of course they should have that. Me, I come with an enforcement hand, but now I'm training, I'm not enforcing. Thank you.
I mean, when we train, and our viewers, you take up these tips and all this knowledge that you're getting right now. There's no need for enforcement, and that's what URA wants to do. We don't want to enforce. We don't want to come and be scary, and we want to build a relationship with our taxpayers. So, any more tips that support compliance?
Yeah, of course, there are some that may be so we may not break down right now, but we have many other tax types they are supposed to pay. VAT, I think VAT will be.
VAT will have its own.
Yeah, but there's a particular one that MDAs mistakenly VAT on imported services, because recently it's actually a project where we saw a whole lot of non-compliance. VAT on imported services, it's you the consumer to pay it, because you actually, pardon? You're actually computing it on the service that they have given you. The non-resident will not be here to pay it, so you pay it as a consumer.
Give us an example, just to.
For example, URA, because they complied, I can talk about them. They get many services, imported services. You import the service of maybe Tata or whatever, and that service you compute 18%. It's still 18%. Then you pay it. You as the consumer. But the other side, they always think, hey, so we have to compute it on the supplier. No. You as a consumer, you have consumed that service. The non-resident will not be here to compute it. You compute it there and pay it. And some of them have complied, but there are some who have not complied. So me as an enforcement officer, before I come, I'm alerting you, please check your books. Usually where there's 15% withholding tax, we check around whether to see whether there's VAT on imported. There may be some that may be exempted, but we need the 18% VAT on imported services. There are also
there is one important one on pay as you earn. I'm focusing there because I know there are very many loopholes when it comes to that area. None or under declaration of allowances. We have a very common tendency among our entities where they declare the salary and leave out the allowances, and we have been investigating and trying to talk to different entities to comply in this area. So we'll be focusing a lot on that as well.
And given that we have the budget is 72 trillion, our portion to collect is 32 trillion, definitely we shall look for the tax. So we appeal to all accounting officers and CAOs and treasurers, please try as much as possible to comply. There's also withholding VAT. No, withholding VAT. We have tried to go around to help them comply. So there's a list that of gazetted withholding agents who must withhold VAT on any supply given rendered to them, and they have to pay VAT. They should withhold a 6% on that and give it to URA. In the olden days, some people would be paid VAT and they go without paying any tax, but at least with that 6% will be assured, even if they disappear. Of course, we are supposed to look for them, but at least we will have got the 6% in time if our stakeholder, the government entity, complies. Yeah, so
this one I'm very, very passionate about. That is other non-tax revenue, or ONTR. So our entities are mandated to collect all these ONTR fees under our URA portal. However, we often at times we have entities that are not collecting under the URA portal, entities that are choosing to collect through other systems and not informing us, such that we link the two and still get the revenues coming in. So what I should have started with probably is to explain to people what ONTR fees are. So ONTR fees are other non-tax revenue that are collected through our different entities, MDAs and MDAs and local government. A quick examples, we have passport fees. Those monies are collected through the URA portal. We have driving permits. We have penalties that are given to us by police on the road. So every time, and when it's unfortunate that you are stopped by a policeman and you get a ticket, the money that you pay is paid through the URA portal, and it's accounted for and sent to the consolidated fund. Yes.
It's not only the MDA fees, even the local government, whereas they are theirs, they are supposed to be collected through URA. So I think this was a decision for better planning for the revenues that come. Yeah, of course they are for the MDAs, but they are riding on the back of URA to collect, and most of them have grown their revenues. We interfaced with their systems, and through IRAS. IRAS is Integrated Revenue Administration System, and e-Logrev, Electronic Local Government Revenue, e-Logrev. So we encourage you, please use the IRAS and e-Logrev and ensure the payments come through URA. Which I think later on in another time, we shall expound on how they should correctly pay this. Last year, we had a problem reconciling some of the revenues. They would wrongly choose pay groups and in the IFMIS as they would initiate invoices, and they would end up paying wrongly. But we have tried to work with our stakeholders, Ministry of Finance, Accountant General's Office, and I think this year they won't have any hassle. We assure them of our help and a more seamless payment process. Yeah, but we encourage them to comply. Even the ONTRs, as you initiate them through IFMIS, you're encouraged to pay them through URA. Do not pay them outside. Yeah, because that is the right way, the best way to account for the revenues of Uganda. Thank you very much.
Thank you, team. You guys are doing a great job. And from the conversation, compliance. We want to make sure everyone is voluntarily compliant. And since you said PSO was started in 2014, clearly there's been major milestones for you, to ensure that MDAs are compliant and things like that. Of course, from our conversation so far, you're doing a lot of tax education and you're engaging your stakeholders quite a bit. But if you could just expound on what other strategies you're undertaking to ensure that taxpayers, our government and institutions remit their fair share of taxes. What tax education strategies and other strategies do you have for that to happen?
Would you like to go?
Apart from the tax education, I'd say we are focusing on, we're also carrying out audits. So as my colleague Marion had earlier mentioned, she's an enforcer. And then I'm the one who babysits, handholds the clients, one of the client relationship managers. So the strategy is to handhold, educate, inform, remind. After that, there is the audit team that will come in. Then they are the enforcers. So we educate you. We ensure that you fully understood your obligations. For every team we educate, there is a team that does surveillance to ensure that the education that has happened is actually being put into action. Then after that is done, depending on the results, there is the audit team. And then even after the audit, there is still the surveillance team that keeps monitoring the compliance, the performance of the entities. Yeah.
It's very elaborate, and it's a process. And educating is first, and then until enforcement is like at the tail of this chain. And you are right now, one of the things that we're really pushing is tax education, because we know that it's going to, it's a game changer for us. And I know last year you had some tax education drives. Just share with us, what is your tax education strategies looking like, and what has your experience been like so far?
I enjoy those tax education because as they are learning, as I'm training them, I also learn from them. Yeah, you find some have their own challenges. When we were beginning PSO, we found that manipulating their reports, their payrolls, was a challenge into a pay return. So we actually started, we devised means, developed a document that a step-by-step guide on how they can manipulate their IPPS, that time it was an IPPS report, into a pay return. And they've tried to comply. You find most of them have thousands of employees. For us, we may have 4,000. You may find some have 6,000 transactions to manipulate into a pay return. So we handhold them. Sometimes you sympathize with them. You empathize with them. Recently, others migrated to HCM. That's IPPS is Integrated Personal Payroll System, IPPS. That was the initial payroll system they were. From public service, so as she said, we learn their business. We first learn, before we impose ourselves on them, we first learn their business. So we learned their business. Now, recently, most of them are graduating to what we call HCM. HCM is Human Capital Management. But we also continuously engage. We also have to engage with public service as they make changes there. We run in with them and try to move with our clients. So we are encouraging them, please ensure you understand how to manipulate your payroll, and HCM, we are there to help you, because also as they moved on, they would find challenges. Some of them would find things dropping in their mailboxes. I discovered it in two, and they didn't know what they should do, approve what. Meanwhile, this side we are waiting for pay. But when you go, as I said, when you train them, you also learn what. So when you go there, discover what the challenge is, come this side, form a breakthrough and help them. So we are encouraging you, please engage, do not push away your CRMs. When we call you and overcall you, please bear with us. We are trying to help you comply so that you don't get interest on your ledgers. I think at a later stage we shall also teach them, because their payments do not have periods. That will be a later stage. So we have to teach them on how to manage their ledgers. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot to
there is a lot, and
to teach our or to train our clients, our government entities. Mm.
so any other strategies? Or I'm trying to get some questions here,
Mm.
but it seems like you guys are doing a good job.
Yeah, I hope they watched.
They're watching, but they're not taking any questions yet. So you already boots on the ground.
Some of these are the things we are talking about when we go out there. Yeah, but definitely we have some changes which we will expound on later on. Of course, this was the maiden webinar we had with them. Yeah, so I think we shall expound on them when we have more time and actual practical demonstrations for them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, Claire and Marion. You guys have been great. And to our taxpayers, thank you for tuning in. But remember, this is recorded. So if you're busy and you're between work and you can't really plug in, feel free to. This is not going to go away. It's on YouTube, it's on X, it's on LinkedIn. You can watch the recorded version. But Claire and Marion, please share with us your closing remarks. What's that one thing or two or three that they want us to end the show without you sharing with our taxpayers?
Me, I can only appeal to them. Use your CRM. Use your CRM. Use your CRM. If you entertain your CRM and engage them to the fullest, I think even audit will be a walkover. No penalties. Yes.
Shockingly, it's the same. Being a client relationship manager, I'd like to inform all the clients or affirm them that we are here to serve you. We're here to make your life easier, and we're here to help you comply. Thank you.
We promise to share the other numbers. The other numbers are 0323 44 3078/7. Each of those lines. So now we have given you 3 lines. We gave you the admin's number, and then we have given you 2 other numbers for our office. Of course, the client relationship manager's numbers will be given as per their allocations. Each of them may have like 80 to 100 to attend to. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marion. And our taxpayers, thank you so much for tuning in. And like the team said, in the next couple of weeks, next month, they're going to become regulars. You're going to see the faces quite a bit. I will be talking about VAT. We'll be talking about the payments, and we'll have practical sessions that you follow, and no man is left behind. And if you have questions, you've got the numbers. But if for some reason you skip the numbers, the URL contact center details are always. I think you can see them scrolling on the screen. Feel free to call in and you say, I want to, someone from the PSO office. The contact center team will definitely support that to happen. And feel free to watch the recorded versions. Thank you for watching. Thank you for learning. And, I hope this helps support your compliance journey. We are in this journey of developing Uganda together. No man is left behind. The private sector, the public sector. We are all in this together. Until we reach the moon, like we said here, Thank you. Bye-bye. From all of us at Chirari TV, have a nice day.
Yeah. Thank you very much.